Shalom, one of the souls by giving no praise to Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahushai, Ba Hashem, Kodash, double honors the apostle of GMS, and honors you brothers in the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name within the world, England calls God Jehovah Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh, and his son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahushai, Ba meaning in, Ha meaning done, Shai meaning name, so Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai. So quick one, this is on the Lease Act, right? Video that which one of the elder brothers had posted on his status, going into how this is basically being used, in the Ukraine, right now. So this is the Lend-Lease Act of 1941, said that the U.S. government could lend or lease rather than sell war supplies to any nation deemed vital to the defense of the United States. Under this policy, the United States was able to supply military aid to its foreign allies during World War II, while still remaining officially neutral in the conflict. Right, and this, this is just, playing semantics. This is just them not being direct with what they're doing. This is them just being the devil. Right, we can get that real quick in Psalms the 58th chapter. Right, Psalms 58:3. Says the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Right, so this is an example of a lie, because once again, if I know someone is going to commit a crime, right, and I hand that person a weapon, right, to go commit a crime, I am now complicit in said crime. Right, so for these devils to make it seem like, oh, this is, we're not really a part of this, or we're just sitting on the sidelines, right, when in fact they are very much involved, right, is a lie. Okay, so is there any more in here? Right, it says they're poisonous as the poison is like the poison of a serpent. They're like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. Right, so we get back to this. It goes on to say, most importantly, passage of the Lend-Lease Act enabled a struggling Great Britain to continue fighting against Germany virtually on its own until the United States entered World War II late in 1941. Right, so neutrality in wartime. So in the decades following World War One, many Americans remained extremely wary of becoming involved in another costly, right, international conflict. And once again, that's what these devils do, right? Instead of just coming out, straight out with what it is that they're doing, right? They're slick with it, right? Scripture says that this man was more subtle, right, than the beast of the field. The serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Right, so this man, he knows how to manipulate people in the minds to make it seem, which if you notice as well, they came into the war effort late. Why? Because they needed to get the American people on side, right? And I believe it actually goes into this in this article, right? It says in the decades following World War One, many Americans remained extremely wary of being involved in another constantly international conflict, even as fascist regimes like Nazi Germany under Adolf Hitler took aggressive action in Europe. In the 30s, isolationist members of Congress pushed through a series of laws limiting how the United States could respond, right? Which, if that was even, what's the word I'm looking for? If that was even organic, right? Because that's the thing with this man, Jay. We just read it in Psalms the 58th chapter, right? Nothing. This man is just a liar, right? It's in fact. Now we know this is Yahushua speaking to wicked Israelites, right? But who's he referring to, right? It says John 8:44, ye of your father the devil, right? Once again, Yahushua is saying, wicked Israelites, man, you just like these damn Edomites, right? And even to this day, you get set, you meet certain Jakes, right, that will fuck you over just like an Edomite will fuck you over. They'll be slimy as hell, right, in the way that they do things, okay? It says he was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in truth, right? Because there is no truth in him. When you're dealing with this devil, right, there is no truth in him, right? He can't, he can't tell the truth. He can't tell the truth, right? It's not in his nature. It says he's going to say that when he speaketh the lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it, right? So continuing on. It says, but after Germany invaded Poland in 1939, a full-scale war broke out again in Europe. President Franklin D. Roosevelt declared that while the United States would remain neutral by law, it was impossible that every American remain neutral in thought as well. Right, once again, just playing with the mind. Because to use that analogy, if I know someone's going to go and commit a murder and I give that individual a gun, I am complicit in said murder, right? Just like, but if you're, for instance, you have the honey trap murders, right, where it's not the woman necessarily that kills the man, right, but because she's lured the man in, right, and then that man gets killed, right, she gets done with the murder as well, right? So this idea that, oh, we're gonna be neutral by law, but we're still gonna give you the weapons, right, is BS. Okay, you're in the war, just like right now what's happening with the Ukraine is they are in the war, right? This is before passage of the Neutrality Act of 39. Roosevelt persuaded Congress to allow the sale of military supplies to allies like France and Britain on a cash and carry basis. They had to pay cash for American-made supplies and then transport the supplies on their own ships, right? So when we go back here, when we're reading what it says, what did it say? Could lend or lease rather than sell. So like, wait, what? Right? So let's read that again. Before the passage of the Neutrality Act, Roosevelt persuaded Congress to allow the sale. So wait, I thought you said we weren't gonna sell, right? But they had to supply it on their own, right? Britain asked for help, but by the summer of 1940, France and much of Northern Europe had fallen to the Nazis, and Britain was fighting virtually alone against Germany on land, at sea, and in the air. The London Blitz of the German offences had taken serious toll on British morale and strength. After the new British PM Churchill appealed personally to Roosevelt for help, the US president agreed to exchange more than 50 outdated American destroyers for 99-year leases on British bases, right? So an exchange, that's a sell, right? Whether you wanna call it that or not, that is a sell, right? An act of giving one thing, right, and receiving another, especially in the same type or value in return. So it's a purchase, so it's a payment, right? So that 99-year lease, right, for those military bases was equivalent to 50 outdated American destroyers, right? That December, with Britain's currency and gold reserve dwindling, Churchill warned Roosevelt that his country would not be able to pay cash for military supplies or shipping much longer, much like you see with the Ukraine. Says though he had recently been re-elected on the platform, promising to keep America out of World War II, right? After hearing Churchill's appeal, he began working to convince Congress, right, and the American public, right, which once again makes you wonder. We'll look at the MOTB as an example, right? You get certain laws, that says, oh, we are banning, the implanting of of these devices into people, right? No company, no workplace will ever be able to require that an employee has this device in them, right? But we know what the end goal is going to be. We know that everyone is going to have these devices in them, right? It's going to be forced upon everyone. That's what it says, great or small, right? So then you have these laws that passed before that make it seem like, oh, don't worry, that thing you're afraid of, it's not going to happen, only for it to happen, right? It says that providing more direct aid to Britain was in the nation's own interest, right? Arsenal of democracy, right? And once again, that double speak that you see with this devil, right? It says in December 1940, Roosevelt introduced a new policy initiative whereby the United States would lend rather than sell military supplies. Okay, so that what I was referring to in 1939 was slightly different law, Salakia, right? Says Roosevelt introduced a new policy initiative where the United States would lend rather than sell military supplies to Britain for use in the fight against Germany. Payment for the supplies would be what? Would be deferred, right? What does it mean to defer? So let's look that up, right? Put off an action or event to a later time, postpone, right? Just like how the judgment on America, on this devil has been, one might feel it's been deferred because, for instance, America's never been touched. All the wickedness that nation has done has never been touched, right? But guess what? The Lord is basically racking up a tab against this devil, right, for all the wickedness that he's done primarily to the children of Israel, right? Then the earth itself, right, and also these heathens, all of the wickedness that this man has done, right? Payment, is due, right? Let's get that real quick, in the precept, right? So Micah 2:1, is Is it 2 and 1 or 2 and 3? Or I'm thinking Nahum, Salakia. Right, Nahum 2. Right? Wait, so let me do a word search for it. It's what should be Nahum 1? Yeah, Nahum 1 and 3. Right? It says the Lord Yahweh is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Right? The Lord hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. Right? So the Lord's just been there watching as this devil is doing what he's doing. Right, this devil thinking that he's getting away scot-free. Right, it's Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. Right, it says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Right, so because the Lord hadn't, straight up come and dealt with this devil, right, he just carried on doing what it was that he was doing. Right. This is Psalm 50 and 21. These things hast thou done, right, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. Right. So once again, this devil, right, has just basically been thinking that the Most High, Most High's with him. Right. He's been doing right nothing. No payment has been made. Right? He's been getting away with it, so called. Right. But guess what? That payment has just been deferred, right? Let's look up that definition again. Put off an action to a later time, postpone. As we read in Nahum 1 and 3, the Lord Yahweh is slow in anger, but what? Will not at all acquit the wicked, right? So that payment, right, for your wickedness, right, it has just been deferred. But carrying on, right, says, and could come in any form Roosevelt deemed satisfactory, right? We must be the great arsenal of democracy, right? That forked tongue, right? Roosevelt declared in one of his signature fireside chats, right? Says, for us, this is an emergency as serious as war itself. We must apply ourselves to our task with the same resolution, the same urgency, the same spirit of patriotism and sacrifice as we show were we at war, right? His Lend-Lease, as Roosevelt's plan became known, ran in strong opposition against isolationist members of Congress, as well as those who believed the policy gave the president himself too much power during the debate, which may be why we see that Biden's kind of just given this Ukraine money. Right. So during the debate over the bill, which continued for 2 months, Roosevelt's admin and supporters in Congress argued convincingly that providing aid to allies like GB was a military necessity for the United States. We are buying, not lending. We are buying our own security while we prepare. Right. By our delay during the past 6 years, while Germany was preparing, we find ourselves unprepared and unarmed, facing a thoroughly prepared and armed potential enemy. Right. So finally passed in March 1941, an act to promote the defense of the United States, right, by attacking. Once again, this man speaks with a forked tongue. Let's see how much more we've got left. So not that much more, so I'll read through it, grab a couple of precepts and close it out. Whereas Roosevelt quickly took advantage of his authority under the new law, ordering large quantities of US food and war material to be shipped to Britain from US ports through the new official office. It says the supplies dispersed under the Lend-Lease Act range from tanks, aircraft, ships, weapons, and road building supplies to clothing, chemicals, and food. Right, by the end of 1941, the Lend-Lease policy was extended to include other allies. Right, through the end of the war, the United States would use it to provide a total of some $50 billion in aid, right, equal to $690 billion in 2020 money, right? So let me just look on my other screen here, right? How much aid has US given Ukraine, right? Let's see what number that we have. So open this link because I was just seeing some just numbers that just didn't look anywhere near correct. Move to another tab group. There we go. It says Congress approved $113 billion of aid to Ukraine in 2022, right? And I believe this is more than just. So let's see what this breaks down at, right? Drawdown replenishment, Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, whatever the hell that means, right? U.S. military, 15.2 foreign military financing, right? Other defense of 67 billion, right? In war, right? In economic support, international disaster assistance, right? Assistance for refugees, right? So I mean, once again, the actual thing about helping people is only 6.6 billion, right? Which just goes to show you where the priorities are, right? Because hey, let's keep it real, right? When it comes to defense, one of their friends are getting paid, and that's it. Right? When it comes to rebuilding, just like with Halliburton, one of their friends is getting paid, right? So you see that there, right? So let's go back to that. So they spent. So imagine this is from 1941 to 1945, right? Helping so many different nations during the World War, right? They spent $690 billion equivalent, right? But in Ukraine, they've already given 113, right? Just go once again, it goes to show you, one of the precepts that we have. These, all this man knows is war, right? Continue there, they gathered together for war. So more than 30 nations around the globe, from the Free French movement, yada yada. And for Roosevelt, Lend-Lease was not motivated primarily by altruism and generosity, because at the end of the day, these people are paying you back, right? I believe in the video that was referenced was basically saying, in fact, let's find out. Let's get that. When did the UK finish paying back US Lend-Lease? Right. No, that's a different thing. Just see. Let's see what this one says. I'm just looking at. All right, so I mean, this is for the entire war in general, right? Go back here, right? It says December 2006, right? Britain pays off final installment of US loan after 60. Well, it says US loan, yeah. After 61 years, right? Britain will today make the final payment on a multi-billion-dollar loan it took out in 1945 to refinance the country. Okay, so this is a slightly different one. This is just a different loan that they took out at the end of the war. So it's like that's slightly different, right? Yeah, I can't seem to find that other information I was looking for, but yeah, all that money has to be paid back. It says Ukraine Lend-Lease Act in 2022. President Joe Biden signed into law the Ukraine Democracy Defense Lend-Lease Act. Right, this act allowed the U.S. government to lend or lease a wide range of military equipment to Ukraine and other Eastern European countries. Right, it says the act was designed to expire in 2023. Right, doubt if that has right. When was this written? This was written December 12th, 2022, right? I've rather updated 2022, right? So let's grab some precepts and let's close this out, right? It says Psalms 55 and 21, right? The words of his mouth were smooth than butter, but war was in his heart, right? His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, right? The war was in his heart. How? Because when he's presenting all of this information to the news, oh, we're giving Ukraine aid, we're doing this, we're doing that, right? Aid, right, to most people sounds like, for instance, when the people, charity workers, ask you for money, right? You don't expect anything back, right? A normal person would just give the person, the charity worker, the money, and that's it. So they think when when governments are doing the same thing, when they're giving aid to countries, that it's in the same vein, but it is not, right? It is not in the same vein of I have this stash of cash, and out of the kindness of my heart, right, out of altruism, right, as the word that we saw, saw here, right? It wasn't out of it's not out of the kindness of their own heart, right? They're doing it because they have intentions, and their intentions are for war, right? For war, and then in the same process, they're making money. This is Psalms 140:2, which imagine mischief in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war, right? And that's it. Right? This man is constantly gathering, imagining mischief, how they can destroy this person, how they can destroy that kingdom. Those group of people. Right? That's the kind of devil we're dealing with here. Right? This is Revelation 6:4, and they went out another horse that was red, right? Referencing these Edomites. Right? It says, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Right? And who else has taken peace from the earth like this devil? Right? 3 world wars. Well, no, there's going to be a third, but 2 world wars fought primarily by these Edomites, man. Right? Primarily by these damn Edomites. Just needless death. I mean, once again, Scripture says the issues of death, right? Over Yahweh Shem Shai, right? And no, Job 4:7, right? Whoever perished being innocent, right? But in the eyes of this world, in the eyes of man, right? These were just people that died needlessly. Right? You would think about the Battle of the Somme, where it was something like 60,000 British soldiers died in one day. Right? That is this devil for you, right? So that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword, and that great sword is that ICBM nuclear missile, right? Those nuclear hypersonic missiles, right? Which are going to be used in these last days. That's that ultimate great sword. Okay. So as always, Lord, I was edifying to the next time we say Shalom.